Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1416. Today on Cars Yeah, I'm celebrating the second annual Cigar City Concours de Elegance that takes place November 9th and 10th in Tampa Bay Downs horse racing track. To learn more, go to cigarcityconcours.com.
If you have an idea, if you don't give it a try, you'll never know.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Do you know the best way to protect your vehicle, both the exterior and the interior, is with a car cover? I've been using Covercraft car covers since 1975. That's right, 1975. It's a fast, easy, and inexpensive way to keep your vehicle looking new. Covercraft has been manufacturing premium quality exterior and interior covers for over 50 years with a stellar reputation for durability and design. They're the world's largest manufacturer of custom patterned vehicle covers that are crafted to fit over 80,000 patterns and growing. They are the only cover I'll put on my vehicles. You can choose from a wide variety of fabrics, styles, colors, and more. From full cover designs for factory to custom-made vehicles, plus convertible top covers, trucks, truck cab coolers, motorcycles, scooters, ATVs, trailers, campers, personal watercraft, and a wide variety of custom features. Covercraft is the right choice. Learn more today at covercraft.com and tell them Mark sent you. That's covercraft.com. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for the enthusiast and the collector. It's your monthly must-read whether you dream of owning a collector car, have 2 cars, or 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. Plus, you'll get the exclusive SCM guide to restoration shops included for free. At checkout, use the code CARSYEAH and receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription. It's an exclusive offer from me here at Cars Yeah. I'm Mark Green, and I love Sports Car Market magazine. Hello, automotive enthusiasts. I'm revved up and so excited to introduce today's very special returning guest calling in from beautiful Wilmington, North Carolina, Joe Pep. Hey, Joe, are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Mark, I've been ready since show number 364.
Yes. Yeah, I'll remind our listeners, regular listeners will remember Joe was on the show back in October of 2015. Show number 364. He also returned as a special appearance as Santa Claus on December 5th, 2017. So if you missed that show, go back and listen. He did an absolutely fantastic job. All right, here we go. Joe Pep is an automotive commission artist, a graphic designer, and an illustrator whose work has been featured in Hemmings Classic Car, their daily blogs, and in Muscle Machine magazines. Joe's art has been exhibited at the AACA Museum in Hershey and the Elegance at Hershey, and for over 20 years, he created comic book and graphic novels, including the iconic Archie Comics. Yeah, he was the guy. Since his last appearance on Cars Yeah, Joe launched Every Car Has a Story, where he interviews numerous automotive enthusiasts, and I was honored to be a guest on his show, so you can go back and find that in the archives. Joe will be the Master of Ceremonies at this year's Cigar City Concours de Elegance. You heard a lot about that yesterday's show with Vic Piano. You know, we've got Joe Pep and Vic Piano. Sounds like I'm talking to the mafia here a little bit. Joe and Vic.
We'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Joe, I've told our listeners just a little bit about you. Welcome back to Cars Yeah. Could you take a brief moment before I jump into some questions here and tell us a little bit more about you and your passion for automobiles?
Well, you know, Mark, again, thank you so much for having me back. The thing is with automobiles, it's when I see families at a car show and they're looking at a car, I go, you're looking at, if the car is 90 years old, I says, you're looking at a car that was the top of technology for that model year, if it's 1930 or 1920 or 1965. And then you see this light bulb go off and it all starts coming together. That's to me is the passion. And then, of course, the people that you talk to at a car show or at a concourse, everybody has a story. You know, the posts that you put up on Facebook with all the cars that you've had, you know, the stories upon stories upon stories. And that's what I love about the industry.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. I remember it being at a car show this summer, and a gentleman had an old car. It was from the 40s, and he let this little boy jump in. And the first question the little boy said, "Where do I plug in my phone?"
Of course. Well, you know, our Antique Automobile Club at Cape Fear that I'm a member of, we'll go to the local schools. And the first thing the kids notice is that, well, what's that knob? And it's a crank to open up the window.
The window
and,
crank, yeah.
What's that, you know? And I mean, there was a time where you had to have money to have an automobile with electric powered windows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's fun, and things have certainly changed in this day and age. Oh my gosh, things are rapidly increasing and promoting and moving and doing things that we could only imagine. I keep thinking someday we're going to have those Jetson mobiles that just fly around the sky. I have no doubt that that'll be happening someday before we know it. Hopefully before you and I are long gone.
I think it'd be great, but I just don't want, you know, Mrs. Pep to say, "Hey, hon, could you go out and get some milk?" And now I'm 300 feet up, and the engine light comes on. I don't want that. I don't want that.
No, they'll have parachutes for us. Don't worry. They'll have
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, the government will intrude into everything and make them cost 10 times as much, and just so that we'll all be safe. Well, as we continue on your journey, I always like to start by asking my guests for a success quote or a mantra. I know a lot has happened in the last 4 years since you've been on the show. Maybe yours is different this time, but some kind of saying that has meaning for you. It's a nice way to get the tires turning here on Cars Yeah. So, Joe, take the wheel.
All right. Well, you know, the thing is that it's, if you have an idea, if you don't give it a try, you'll never know. If you don't ask somebody, you never know. It's always a 50-50 thing in everything that you do. So my thing is that if you have a dream, try it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You know?
It's the old saying about people on their deathbed. Their biggest concern is, "I wish I had."
Yes.
Versus, "I'm glad I didn't."
Yes.
You know, and my regular listeners have heard this before. I used to be a surfer, and I was out with a friend of mine. We were surfing, and the waves were kind of big that day, and I was a little nervous about the size. We were surfing at Black's Beach, which could be a very powerful wave there in San Diego County. And I started to take off on one of the bigger sets, and I just didn't quite work hard enough. And I turned around. He was paddling over the crest of the wave as I didn't catch it. And I said, should have taken off. And I'll never forget these words he said to me. He said, "Shoulda, coulda, woulda, words of a loser," and splashed me in the face. Now, he's a friend of mine, so he could do that, you know.
Sure.
But it's always stuck in my head. I mean, that's decades ago. And I've always tried to remember that. Yeah, if you don't take a chance, if you don't try something, and I tell you, Joe and I are somewhat from the same era of age here. We're more mature men, let's put it that way. We've been around a while. And, you know, as time goes by, and especially with social media, more and more people are just simply passing away. And last month, a good friend of mine, a guy who's been a guest on the show, Andy Cohen, lost his life, surprisingly, passed away one evening unexpectedly. And you just start to see these. I think I've had about 12 guests now on the show who passed away over time. And you realize, you know what, life is fleeting. And you need to go do the things you want to do, and you need to do them today because you might not have tomorrow. So little words of wisdom, Joe and I. Get out there and try stuff, right?
Absolutely, because you know what? You have people that, and to me, I applaud these people. My father always wanted me to be a mailman.
A mailman, there you go.
He was a mailman, and he was a letter carrier for 30 years. And I tried at Christmas Help, 1976. I met a lot of great people, but it wasn't me. I had my own thing that I wanted to do. It's my daughter. She's now a successful hairdresser. She had a dream, and she worked at a top studio here in Wilmington, and now she has her own salon. And the thing is that you have to keep on pushing. And when the going gets tough, it's your friends and it's your pals that carry you on. You know, every day is not a banner day. You
Nope.
know, there's days where it's like, what the heck am I doing this for? But I find that it's like if I'm tired and I'm grouchy, call it a day. Hang up the car keys, call it a day, chill out. Tomorrow's another day. You know, because today is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Yeah, there you go. A man of wise words.
There you go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want you to share a story with our listeners here that instigated this passion you have for cars. Because, you worked at Archie Comics for 20 plus years, long time there.
Yep.
You're a graphic artist. You've done some incredible things. And I'll post up on my Facebook page a great illustration that Joe did of my headshot, turned me into a cartoon character.
There you
as
go.
if I'm not already a character. But now I'm a cartoon character. I feel really happy about that, and it's fantastic what you did. But tell us about a pivotal moment in your life when you knew you were going to be a lifelong cartoon.
Well, it's like, as everything, it all creeps in, but you don't know about it. My grandfather, he worked for International Motor Car Company, which later became Mack Truck, in 1919, all the way up to 1969. And he would take me for rides. He would show me things of where I grew up in downtown New Brunswick, New Jersey. He would show me where the trolley car tracks were. Okay. And then he would show me his friends that have cars that were parked in the backyard. So this is like 1960. So these cars at that time were 30, 40 years old, going into the 20s and 30s. If I was a good kid, my parents would let me watch Elliot Ness and the Untouchables.
Oh, yeah.
And you're seeing these gangster cars from the 30s, which in 1960 were only like 30 years old, but they seemed ancient.
Yes.
Yeah. And yes, you did see cars once in a while from the 30s or the 40s going around in town, but they were always like junks and falling apart. My father took me to my first car show in 1974. It was the first time I saw a brass era car, And again, for us old school guys, you had to go to a library to find this stuff. You couldn't accidentally just be looking
find
for
it
something
online.
On the internet. Yeah. I bought a 54 Pontiac Chieftain. I don't know what made me think I'm going to restore this car. And it was like I bought a car. I bought it for $100. And Kayla Raindancer, who's our segment reporter for Every Car Has a Story, we were talking. I said, if I was going to buy cars from the 50s, the mid-70s was the time to do it because you could have bought all these cars. But people didn't think, well, in 2019, these cars are going to be worth a lot of money to sell. You didn't think of it at that time. But as time goes on, it was going to school for the arts and then drawing. And that's where the passion grew more and more. You pick up copies of Hemmings and, you're seeing all these cars and it just grows and grows and grows. So while I was at Archie, I was doing freelance, which for the radio audience, freelance in the art field is you take your work home. Didn't even have time to do anything at the office. And I would start drawing cars. And that's in the summer of 2009 is when Mark McCourt and Richard Lanatano contacted me to be in Hemmings. And that started changing everything. And by 2010, I retired from Archie. And now we're living in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I don't have to shovel snow.
That's always a nice thing as we head into winter here. And according to the Farmer's Almanac, we're going to have a colder than normal winter as seasons change every year and things change. So, no more shoveling snow. Well, I've never had to do that. We get maybe one snow a year here in the Pacific Northwest where I live in Gig Harbor. But thank goodness, because, I'd rather go up and ski in the snow and then come home. Even though we do get a little bit of rain, which look out the window, it is raining today, but that's why the trees are big. So, well, let's take a look at some of these roads you've driven down. Talk about a big challenge or a big failure that you faced along the way. I'd love for you to walk us through something that might have been a little painful, but more importantly, what did it teach you so you can move forward in a positive light?
Sure. Well, very good question. Life has its challenges. It's, you grow up in a household with loving parents and their health doesn't go the way you thought they would. And then my wife and I, we were caregivers for them for 10 years. But what it taught me is that you don't give up on family. If you have an idea, if you're trying something, when I left Archie Comics, I thought animated comic books online. I tried that. I contacted all my pals from the comic book industry, and I thought this would be great. But the problem was that to hook up all the bells and whistles at that time, it was too expensive. And it turned out that customers just wanted a printed comic book instead of something online. So you could actually see a car move across the screen. You could actually hear
the voice of a character.
A voice, yeah. So if we had Mark Green as a comic book, we could hear Mark Green and sound effects. But it just cost too much. But always trying. And nowadays it's there was a time where it's like if you wanted to get T-shirts made, you had a good chance to sell them. Now everybody's doing it. So my thought is you can't go where the crowd is going. You got to go the opposite way. And that road is a very bumpy road.
Oh, yeah.
You may succeed. You may not, but you got to try.
Yeah.
You got to try.
What's that old saying about the pioneers coming across the plains? The ones that were first got all the arrows, And
I would have to say so, yes.
Yeah, the pioneers, the ones that broke the ground, I mean, that was the tough one. So, yeah, absolutely. Kind of reminds me of what's going on right now with magazines. Just last month, Auto Week has said no more printed magazines. I mean, I've been getting Auto Week ever since I was in high school. I mean, forever. So things change, things evolve, and you're right. If you're not evolving with them and not changing with them and not looking ahead, can be tough. But if you are that pioneer, that can be tough too. You think about Facebook. What was the one that was before Facebook? Does it even exist anymore? MySpace or something?
MySpace, yeah.
I mean, where are they? The Yahoos. What happened? Google just plowed them over. For some reason, those folks didn't change. And I kind of think the same thing with the car industry right now. What's going to happen, with electric cars and autonomous cars and all these things coming down the road? If you're not part of that group that's changing and evolving, you can be left in the dust pretty quick. So, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is that's why I decided to take Every Car Has a Story off the radio. You figure, Mark, it's like radio in the 40s was king. They had a studio audience. Abbott and Costello would pack a theater. But the problem is with radio is that it's to a general audience. Whereas when you go podcast, it's a direct audience. So if you're a car guy, I'm going to listen to cars. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. So that's why we're restructuring everything to go to podcast. You gotta, like you said, you gotta roll with the times. It's like that old movie with Danny DeVito and Gregory Peck. It was called Other People's Money. And Danny DeVito would take these companies and buy them and basically restructure them to be efficient. And he said to Gregory Peck once, he says, if your company's making buggy whips, but everybody's driving cars, why are you still making buggy whips?
Sure.
So you gotta roll with the times.
Yeah, absolutely. And boy, the times they are rolling, and they're rolling very fast. Speaking about rolling, though, let's talk about your first really special car. First car in your life that had great meaning for you. What was it? I was
at the Hershey Elegance, the concourse. And I figured, well, I'm going to stop by, say hello to my old friends over at the AACA Museum. And in the museum is a 1966 Mercury Monterey. Well, it wasn't the color that I had. My dad in 1966 bought a brand new Mercury Monterey 2-door 392 barrel. It was maroon metallic, black vinyl roof, black interior, and red wall tires, the pinstripes. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love those.
I saw that car, and I said jokingly to myself, hey, Dad, would you ever think our car would be in a museum? And every hair just went up on my back. And it was like every time I see one of these cars, which is very rare, It always brings back great memories. As my first, I bought it for $350 in 1971.
Oh,
and
gosh.
he bought a brand new 71 Pontiac Bonneville with a 455 four barrel. And he said at that time when gas was 29 cents, this car's eating me out of house and home.
Yeah.
So that car always brings a smile on my face. I love that car.
No doubt. Is that the seller's remorse story for you, car that got away?
It's automobiles. You come from a working class family. Mom was the housekeeper. I hate to use the word housewife, but, it was like, come on, Catherine, we're getting married and you're going to stay home and I'm going to work at the post office. So that's what my parents were. And you had a car where it gets to a point where should I actually be putting more money to this to get it prepared or get a new car? And what that car was in 1974 was the transmission was going on it. Other things were going. And I decided, of course, discussing this with my parents, and it was like, well, why don't you get a car that you can afford? And I bought a brand new 74 Mustang. Mustang guys hated the car, but the girls liked it. That's what mattered to me.
Of course. Yeah, that was the most important thing. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about Every Car Has a Story, because since you've been on the show, you launched this. It was on a radio channel. Now you're redoing this in a podcast. You and I talked probably a year ago about this. I think you and I were on the phone. I said, you really need to be a podcaster. That's the place to be. I think that's right for you. So tell us a little bit more about what is coming for Every Car Has a Story. What is it? And why did you launch this whole concept in the first place? Why is it important to you?
Well, it's one of these things where to have your work appear in Hemmings opened up so many doors where, we moved from Connecticut down here to Wilmington. Mark McCourt, Rich Lanatano, wonderful guys. If I ever have a question, I throw it at them, or if I have a lead for a story. And I was contacted if I wanted to be a part of a radio show. Well, it's like when I was with Archie Comics, we met with a lot of celebrities, so you knew how to carry yourself with these type of people. And I told him, I says, I've never done radio before. And it's like, oh, come on, it's going to be easy. It's going to be fun. Well, 81 shows later, and then we were on 4 radio stations. I met so many fantastic people. And I think one of the memorable was Norman James. And I'll tell you, Mark, I think he'd be fantastic for your show. Norman James worked under Harley Earl and designed the Pontiac Firebird prototypes. And every time I would talk to a guest that was coming on, it was, I always had a phone call with them just to get a feel as to how they are, if they're going to be shy, is it going to be a tough interview or an easy interview? And I also found out that he designed the lunar rover, the first car on the moon.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And as a kid, you and I, we grew up with the space race. And it was one of these things where, time to get the questions out, And I said, how come they didn't have air-filled tires? And Norman said, well, of course, they would blow up, And then here's a man, 87 years old, and he says, you can go to the moon now and jumpstart the lunar rover, and it would go, providing nobody stole the tires.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We've had Ted Adele starting a new museum out in Jackson, Michigan, and he's telling the story of how it was, how he found it, and how he's trying to preserve history all around in the neighborhood, and how they got a trolley car donated that was in the Hello Dolly movie with Barbara Streisand. So all these elements, everybody. There was a young lady, Frankie Waters, 14 years old. She's working on a car with her father and restoring it. That is a lifelong, memorable story that Mr. Waters, her father, will have forever. It's like, so as you know, as a father, as a parent, you know how special your children are. And to work with them on a project like this, But the list just goes on and on and on. Marty Shore, I call him the godfather of hot rod muscle car journalism. This guy's got more stories than Carter has liver pills. Look that up, kids. So that's what I really enjoy about every car.
Yeah.
And once we get it going, we're going to be at the FLR Classic Car Showroom in Wilmington, North Carolina. So we'll be broadcasting from a classic car dealership. We have segment reporter Kayla Raindancer from Montana. And here's a gal that has 15 cars. She's been on your show. She takes them and then she flips them. But her full-time job is working daycare at her mother's daycare facility. Then we have Mark Stone. He's like a car talk guy over in England. He's going to be providing us videos of all the great sports cars that you don't see here in the States. So we have all these people that want to be a part of it.
It's fantastic. I think it's great. Also, you're the Master of Ceremonies at this year's Cigar City Concours Elegance, right?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's I've known Vic Piano for many years. And you know what's great is that I know I'm repeating this crutch word great over and over again, but met him on Facebook, just like you.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think it's like how long it would take to meet great people like this if there wasn't Facebook or social media.
Oh, yeah. It'd take forever. Yeah. Well, you're talking to the guy you're my show number 1,416. So, yeah, it's amazing the number of people you can meet now on social media and through all these different mediums that we get to play in today, and relatively easy too. So I'll remind our listeners you can learn a lot more about the Cigar City Concours d'Elegance on their website. I'll put links on Joe's show notes page here if you want to go back and listen to Joe's show when he was originally on the show, and of course when he appeared as Santa Claus. That was pretty fun too. I appreciated that. So Joe, up next is the last lap. But before we put the pedal to the metal, let's say thank you to today's Cars Yeah sponsors. When you want proven performance, there's one brand that's been around since 1938. That's Edelbrock, building the finest American-made performance products for the street and track. Edelbrock's products are designed and dyno-proven to deliver maximum results. Edelbrock has thousands of made-in-the-USA performance products for all makes and models. From their new AVS2 carburetor and innovative ProFlow 4 EFI for your muscle car or truck, to superchargers for your daily driver and more, visit Edelbrock.com to check out the latest products for your ride. And when you're ready to check out, enter Cars Yeah in the coupon code and get 10% off your order. That's Edelbrock, automotive performance since 1938. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. All right, Joe, I have a very introspective question for you now that we're back. If you woke up tomorrow and you found yourself manifested as a vehicle parked in the garage, what would you be and why?
I fall in love. I see these cars that the fans post on Facebook. And I fall in love every day. If it's a brass era car, if it's from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, It's almost like going back in when I was working for Archie Comics. It's like, who do you like the most, Betty or Veronica? And it's like, well, it's like, do you like the brunettes or do you like the blondes? It's now yesterday I saw a beautiful 1937 Buick Businessman's Coupe. Just the line work on that is just great. This summer, I found out, I was doing research, and I found out my grandfather and his brother had a Moon dealership in Highland Park, New Jersey. And then you're looking at you're looking at the Moons, and just a beautiful car. So every day it always changes.
I'm going to nail you down here.
Okay.
If you're evolving as this machine, if tomorrow you woke up, what would you?
If I woke up, that's easy. And I said this before in my first interview with you. It was Lily Prey's father, Malcolm Prey, and his 1937 Delahaye 135M Roadster.
Yeah.
I would want to be reincarnated in that car, and then I would know how to talk French.
Oui, oui. Well, Lily's going to be a guest this week on Cars Yeah. So those of you who don't know her, she's going to be a guest here on the show. So you'll have to wait for that one. It'll be fun. Joe, we're up to the last lap here, like I mentioned, and we're entering this. And I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some very quick blips of that beautiful old car throttle. So here we go. What's the best automotive advice you've ever received?
If you hear a noise, take it to the mechanic immediately.
Yeah, have it checked out. How about a personal habit of yours you believe has contributed to your many successes in life?
It's always good to bounce off the ideas with your pals, with your wife, and your family.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you if you're full of beeswax or not. But the thing is, it's up to you if you want to move forward. That's my advice.
There you go. How about a resource? Is there a resource that you think our listeners would enjoy?
Oh, my God. Well, it's...
there's a lot of them out there, I know.
There's tons, but it's... I love Hemmings. Hemmings has always been a fave. What Haggerty Insurance is doing now on Facebook and showing you how the car operates. They're interviewing mechanics. And I find that to be very helpful also. It helps me because as an artist, I see the outside of the package, the design of the car. But as for the nuts and bolts of the car, this is where I get my education from.
Yeah, very nice.
I think it's great.
If I could arrange for you to sit down and have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would it be?
You.
Me. Well,
you.
So, someday we are going to get together. I know we feel like we're old friends, but we've never actually sat across from a table and enjoyed a meal together. But we're going to do that one day. I have no doubt.
Okay, I know that. Well, to answer your question, this man is, I would say, well, he's long gone. Henry Ford. Henry Ford, there's people that didn't believe in his political views. But the part that I always liked was that he would surround himself with talent and pay them to do the job. And when you work in advertising, you can't micromanage. You have to commission work or get people to do that informational work for you. Here's a man that was born, now quote me if I'm wrong, during the Civil War or after the Civil War, but he brought in a whole new wave of into the automotive industry.
Yeah, revolutionary.
That's a person I would love to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I had a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. How about a book? Is there a book that you'd like to share with our listeners you've enjoyed?
Well, books. I like picture books.
Well, you're a comic book guy, huh?
Yeah, but it's I was just reading an article, Life magazine, and they did an article back in the late 50s on illuminated tires. But I'm more of a picture book guy. If I start reading, I fall asleep.
You just need to read better stuff. What I need to do is introduce you to audiobooks. Maybe that's the method for you.
I have listened to that, and Mrs. Pep has turned me on to them. Love good World War II, World War I stories, the thrill, murder stories. I listen to old radio broadcasts, detective shows. But with me, I'm more of a picture book guy. And who else is going to be at the concourse is Mark Mizzarola, and he just wrote a book called Great Grills of the 50s, and I know I'll be getting a copy of that when I get down to the concourse.
I think a book I need you to get is a past guest of mine, friend. He's been on the show several times, Bert Levy, B.S. Levy. He just produced a copy of The Last Open Road, which is the verse novel that he wrote, but he's done it like a 50s radio show, and I actually am one of the voices in this book. He asked me to be a voice. I have a very minor bit part, but, first time I've ever done that. But you need to check that out, and I'll put a link to that. Bert Levy's The Last Open Road. His new audio book is absolutely brilliant. I'll put a link to that on Joe's show notes page. You can find all these great things on his show notes page. And if you missed, again, his first show with me, you can go back and find that on the Cars Yeah website. All right. We're up to the checkered flag, and this last question can be a bit of a doozy. I'm going to buy you a cool car today, any cool car, but there are some rules to the game since I'm writing the check. First of all, you can't sell it to buy a bunch of other toys with. Secondly, you have to drive it. No garage queens allowed around here. Thirdly, it's the only cool collector car you can have in your garage, so choose wisely.
Got it. Well, I'm getting into the old school racing cars, 1910, 1915.
Oh, wow.
And this race car was called the Beast.
Is that the French car?
Yes.
Or no, the Italian car. The Italian race car, wasn't it? Or is it French?
I don't know.
Well, I'd have to look I think up. I know the Beast of Turin, right?
This thing, it had a brass nose, and it was red, and it was a 2-seater.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, the Beast of Turin. This car is, no, I know the car you're talking about. It just ran, actually. It's a 1911 Fiat, actually. So It is an Italian car. I had that right. It's an incredible car. It's a 4-liter giant pistons, probably the size of coffee cans, I'm thinking. It's a monster. It almost doesn't seem real. I believe it ran at Goodwood just recently.
Yes,
so you can go back and find a video of that thing. I mean, you have to be pretty brave to jump in that car and drive it at speed, I think. But
they were going down the interstate. They were going down the interstate over in Europe. And this car was just like, I'm fine. Get out of the way. Here I come.
No, it's great. It's a monster. That's why they call it the Beast. Listeners, just go online and type in the Beast of Turin, Turin. You'll see all sorts of videos. Magnificent car, incredible car. You'd have to be a beast to drive that car. I think so. But, okay. Well, that's a very unique answer to that question, Joe. Absolutely brilliant. You're welcome.
Thank you. This isn't Mark. Now, let me tell you, and your audience, it's like, I'm not a world scholar, but the thing is that I love my cars. I may forget the name, but thank God you can get that information faster than me.
I know exactly the car you're talking about. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Well, Joe, you've taken us on another great ride today. This has been really fun to reconnect with you. Thank you for coming back and joining me again here on Cars Yeah. Before you drive off into the sunset in the Beast of Turin, is there a little bit of parting wisdom or guidance you might leave us with?
Live your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. And do it today.
Live your dreams and think positive, because you know what? Before you know it, 20 years have passed.
Yeah, it's frightening.
And it goes quick.
Yeah,
it goes quick.
It does. And what are the best ways people can follow along with what you're doing these days? Every Car Has a Story. Are there places that we can find you?
Sure. We have Every Car Has a Story past shows on YouTube. Just look up Every Car. Every Car Has a Story. Facebook under Joe Pepitone, not the baseball player. Every Car Has a Story. The social page. Mm-hmm. So I have that. So there's 3 ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you have Twitter as well, I understand, and Instagram, right?
Twitter and Instagram. Yes,
absolutely.
Sir.
All right. I'll make sure I put links to all those on Joe's show notes page, so you can check him out and follow along with what he is doing. Joe, again, this has been absolutely fantastic. And listeners, if you missed my first talk with Joe, just go to the Cars Yeah website page, and he's guest number 364. Also, you can find him as Santa Claus back in 2017. That was a delightful show that we did together.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a great fun. Joe, thanks for being so generous today with your time, your expertise, and always smiling face. Love seeing you on Skype this morning. Until you and I talk again, my friend, I'll see you down the road, or I'll see you at the Cigar City Concours de Elegance.
See you then, and happy motoring, everybody.
Absolutely. Hey, Mark Green here from Cars Yeah. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? It's a weekly visit to some of my past Cars Yeah podcast guests, and I take you along for the ride. You go behind the garage door and into their lives, their businesses, and you get to see what makes them successful. With tens of millions of viewers, Cars Yeah TV is making its mark. Cars Yeah TV is available on MAV TV and Lucas Oil Racing TV. You'll find MAV TV on Direct TV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through Lucas Oil Racing Television online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.